Today's video is the first solo ranked gameplay video that I've put out since the recent update to PUBG on Xbox and PS4. I've been having so much fun playing in these competitive games, and this game on Miramar was actually my first solo ranked game that I played. So I'm going to talk you guys through my strategy that I used during this game and hopefully give you some ideas as to how you might be able to implement these strategies into your own gameplay. If you have any questions, make sure you leave them in the comments below. And also let me know if you're enjoying playing ranked solos, because that way I'll put out more videos regarding ranked solos. But anyway, let's get stuck straight into it. The first thing that I noticed when I started playing ranked games in solos is that I decided not to change up my drop locations at all. I think something that's pretty important is trying to stick to your own game plan, because that's what you're used to and that's how you normally play in casual lobbies. I think if you try and change up your game style too much, then you're probably going to have a tough time adapting to solo ranked games. I landed at this little compound near Hacienda that I tend to drop at pretty regularly, and there was one other guy that dropped here with me. And the benefit of dropping at places that you're familiar with dropping is that you know how they play. So for this particular drop location, it's pretty common that if I drop at the warehouse, then the other player is going to drop over here in this God compound, or the God building as people sometimes call it. And the most common place that they're going to engage in a fight with me is up on the roof where this guy tries to peek me with the mini. So by having that information, I already have an upper hand in this gunfight if that player isn't as familiar with this particular drop location. So I think that really backs up the idea that try and stick to what you know. Don't try and change up your game plan just because you're playing in a ranked game. Similarly, it's pretty easy in ranked to find your favorite gun setup because the loot is really good. So it won't be too long before you find me running the Kar 98K and the AKM when I find one. I almost get myself caught in a bit of a pickle here. Probably one way that I do need to adapt to ranked games is just to be a little bit more cautious in terms of running out in the open. I tend to do that pretty freely, and I think keeping a little bit of cover nearby more consistently is important for me to do in ranked games. But again, by the same token, I think my gameplay in general is pretty aggressive, so I don't really want to change that too much because that's what I'm used to. So I was able to get the kill there on that guy with the Kar 98, and I decided to push towards the zone in this buggy. And you can see here, this guy tags me with a Kar 98K from a long way away while I'm in a moving vehicle, and then hits me again with a barrel. So it really highlights to you, like, that probably wouldn't happen very often in a casual game. And I've really just been coming up against some awesome solo players, which I love to see. I'm really enjoying the challenge. Now there's a bit of shooting up ahead, so I decided to pull over and heal up before I push further up the road. Again, with how much loot you can find in these ranked games, I find that I can almost stay completely boosted with energy drinks or painkillers throughout most of the match. But again, that really depends on how aggressive you're playing and how many how many kills you're getting. If you're more conservative in terms of trying to get kills, then you probably want to be a little bit more conservative with your medical supplies as well. Now that guy caused me a little bit of trouble, but I was able to get the frag and push off and get the kill there. And from memory, this little area turned out to be pretty spicy. There were a few players that turned up, and I think I got 3 or 4 kills in this particular area. So I'll just let you guys watch it out. I don't know if you guys are having as much trouble as I am with getting stuck in side lean, but it's really a problem that PUBG need to fix as soon as possible because it's really stitched me up on a few occasions and I'm sure it's doing the same thing to other players. It is kind of funny though, to be honest. The other thing that I'm finding in these ranked solo games are that people are tending to run DMRs over bolt action rifles, which I personally feel is an interesting choice. I think if you're a skilled PUBG player and you know your way around a sniper, then in my opinion, using a bolt action is the better choice for solo games. I think there's particular times or combat scenarios where the DMRs are a good option, or if you're really good at using a DMR, then obviously that's a good option. But personally, because people can't get revived in solos and you can one-shot kill people from across the map, I personally feel like the bolt actions are the way to go. So pushing into zone, there's about a third of the lobby left alive, and this guy tries to spray me down with an AK. Now, because the zone is still quite big and there's only 25 players alive, I feel relatively safe sitting on the outside of this compound, and I really want to kill this guy to take his AK, which is one of the reasons that I pulled up here. What I am finding is that players, similar to ranked squad games, players are trying to secure compounds in the middle of zone towards the later stages of the match. So just keep that in mind. If you are trying to drive into the zone later in the match, then most compounds are probably going to be occupied, and you want to approach them with caution. And considering this guy is sitting in this compound so early in the match, I'm pretty confident that he's not going to push out of the compound to the outside wall to try and kill me. So I'm more occupied with players in the surrounding areas and making sure that I'm not being snuck up on from a different angle. Again, I feel like this is a pretty good example of why I prefer to use bolt action snipers in solo games over DMRs. If this player was using a bolt action sniper, he probably would have got his shot off and would probably be moving, chambering his next round. But instead, he's stationary and I'm able to connect on my first snipe, so he doesn't really have a chance to react or respond. Now I hear this vehicle pulling up at the compound and I'm pretty certain it's going to end up in a gunfight, so I decide to push around to get a third party in. And it works out pretty well for me. I don't know if this guy was low from that gunfight, but I think my frag was pretty on point, and now I've got a bunch of loot and the AKM that I was after as well. And just like that, we're down to 5 players, and I'm pretty confident that I'm the only player left in this compound, which is still inside the zone, so I decided to hang out here and wait for the next zone to close. I decided to keep the vehicle because I know that the zone is in a pretty wide open space and it would be pretty handy to use as portable cover. Again, you can see here that I wait until this opponent is engaged in another fight before I decide to push him. Firstly, because it will allow me to move without him knowing that I'm moving, but also hopefully I'll be able to get close enough to shoot him while he's still stationary and engaged in another gunfight. But I decided it's better for me to push back towards my vehicle because these ranked games are in third person perspective and I'm pretty confident that the other player is sitting just over the peak of this hill. If I had pushed towards that hill, I can almost guarantee that I would have been killed. And again here I decide to keep the vehicle. I do accidentally get out on the wrong side of this vehicle, which could have ended really badly for me. But luckily this guy misses his first few shots with the sniper and I'm able to get behind cover. And luckily my opponent here decides to push just because he tagged me. I think he underestimated how far he had to run to get an angle on me at this tree. So I was able to heal up. And that was the end of my first solo ranked game that I've played since this new update. I've already had a few other solo ranked games that I think you guys would find interesting for me to upload. If you'd like for me to do this kind of walkthrough video, make sure you let me know in the comments. And if you want to see some solo ranked gameplay live on stream, I'm currently streaming PUBG live on Twitch if you're watching this video in the first few hours after its upload. But anyway guys, thanks for watching, hope you have a good week, and I'll catch you real soon.